Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to Travel and Live Free. In this video, we're going to talk about my country number 20 to visit every single country in the world, and that country is Myanmar. Now, to be perfectly honest, Myanmar is one of the countries I did not like traveling to during my 1-year trip around the world. It was such a rough place, and don't get me wrong, it was also one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and there are definitely places that I liked about it, but the overall experience wasn't very pleasant for me. Now, I know a lot of people love Myanmar. In that case, don't let me take away that experience from you, because I know a lot of people love Myanmar. I'm just not one of those people that had a good experience when I traveled to Myanmar. So I'll talk about those bad experiences on this video. The first part of our trip to Myanmar was actually in Yangon. So at night we landed in Yangon and we negotiated with this weird guy that was driving a taxi in the airport, and he didn't want to give us the price that we wanted, but after some back and forth negotiation, he finally caved, took us to our hostel. The hostel was pretty disgusting because the sheet was damp, and Karen was not having a good time. But regardless, it is what it is when you're traveling to a developing country. The next day we met some Americans that was also staying in this hostel, and they decided to team up with us and to take us to go to the local markets in Myanmar. It was a really fun experience, but mainly because we were traveling with the Americans and they were doing a lot of weird stuff. Yeah. Wow. Say hi. Oh, thank you. The locals actually thought they were really funny because they were so weird. Karen had so much fun hanging out in the market. Now, after we checked out the market, we also tried some street food and we ate some crickets or grasshoppers, which I don't remember which one it was. It actually tastes like chips, so it wasn't that bad. After we checked out the street food, me and Karen split up with the Americans and we went to the Shodagon Pagoda. Okay, so me and Karen are now in Myanmar. We are exploring Yangon. We just finished with the market. There she is. Right in front of us is the Shodagon Pagoda. I'm not sure if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, but it's all good. Shodagon. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go right there and we'll make a video of it. Which was a surreal experience. It's like this peaceful Buddhist monastery. It's huge, and you can see monks walking all over the place. You do have to take off your shoes and pay a donation before you enter this monastery, but you could walk around and really go sightseeing. For me, I feel like I was in peace. I felt like it was really serene when I was checking out this monastery. Karen had a good time in this monastery. We partook in some of the ceremonies that was happening there, like the prayers and making the wish. Alright, base it. So we just found out that Karen is a dragon.
That's why I have a bad.
Oh, sorry, not a dragon. She's a lion.
I'm a lion.
And she was just basting in this corner. Hit it one more time.
How are you?
It was a good, pleasant experience. I really liked it. I know President Obama went there a few years ago, and it looks like he had a good experience as well. After Yangon, we took the bus to our first destination. It was like a super long bus ride, and the stops there was unpleasant because in Myanmar, they're not very efficient. So when we had a restaurant stop, we didn't get our food actually. So by the time we left, we were starving to death, and we didn't have anything to eat for like 8 or 9 hours, which is pretty brutal actually. Karen was definitely choked that our food never arrived and she was starving to death. Then the next city we stopped by was in Bagan, and Bagan started out not too bad, you know. We rented an e-bike and we rode the e-bike in Bagan, and it's kind of weird because I've never ridden a scooter even in my life. It was my first time ever. But you pick it up pretty quickly actually. The e-bike wasn't too hard to learn. So before long, I was actually able to drive okay with the e-bike. Now to tell you the truth, the people in Bagan weren't nice. They actually treated us really poorly. Some locals threw a banana at me and they were really disrespectful. So I did not have any good experience already traveling in Bagan. The first restaurant we went to was a good restaurant and they treated us well, but that was the only really good experience when I was in Bagan. It was also nice taking a lot of pictures with those temples, and there were so many temples all over Bagan, and we went to the biggest temple, which I forgot the name now, and it was a really nice experience.
So me and Karen are in one of the pagodas here in Bagan. We're gonna go explore this area right now.
But man, the next day, there was a bad day. It started okay because we went to rent an e-bike the next morning to see the sunrise.
Okay, so this is the Bagan. So me and Karen are on top of Bagan right now. As you can see, it's super nice. And right now it's tourist galore. You can see so many tourists. It's unbelievable. See all the tour buses below. And I think Karen wants to get past me.
But after we saw the sunrise and we had lunch, that's when things really went bad. I had the worst food poisoning in my life. This is #1 worst food poisoning in my life. I was hurling overnight. I was spewing from both ends. I know that's a little bit graphic, but just pardon me, I'm trying to really illustrate the story here. And it was such a bad experience. I was just dying. It was such a bad experience. Even Karen was puking. It was really a bad experience. Now, she wasn't food poisoned as bad as me. I got the worst brunt of it. Now, it was even worse because the next day, we had to take a long van ride to our next destination. So I was just queasy the whole time in this bus, and we just, rested in this bus while we were there. And we ended up in this one city that was the starting point of the trek to Inle Lake. Now, we were supposed to do the trek, but we didn't end up doing it because I was sick. So we just stayed there for one night. Next day, we took a taxi to Inle Lake.
So me and Karen are on our way to Inle Lake. We're recovering from food poisoning. We're a lot better today than a few days ago, but so far so good. I think eating all the bread and crackers that we had this last few days has really helped a lot. And now we're on our way to recovery, and hopefully by tomorrow we can start taking pictures again and sightseeing a little bit.
And Inle Lake was actually our favorite in Myanmar. Inle Lake was such a beautiful place.
So we're just waiting for our boat right now here in Inle Lake. So me and Karen are in Inle Lake right now. We're taking a boat tour. So far so good, it's awesome. We're having a good time.
The motel that we stayed at wasn't very pleasant. It had a lot of insects, and the owner of this hostel was such a bitch. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. She's a bitch. I hate her. Anyways, we booked our boat tour of Inle Lake from this motel. and apparently didn't give us a very good price according to the locals that spoke to us. They said that we could have actually gotten a better price had we just gone to the docks to book it. Anyhow, we got a chance to see Inle Lake, one of my favorite places that I visited while I was in Myanmar. The lake was just absolutely beautiful, and you get to see a lot of temples. There was a lot of stray dogs, and for some reason the tourists were petting the stray dogs, which is kind of stupid. Like, why would you do that? There was a lot of stray dogs in general in Myanmar, and in Inle Lake especially. The next day we were supposed to take the bus back to Yangon.
So me and Karen are on our way to the bus stop right now. We're inside this crazy looking truck thingy, my jig.
Hello. I'm leaving.
It's a little bouncy, but we're glad to take the bus, and we're gonna go to Yangon right now, and out of Myanmar and heading to Hong Kong.
Turns out that woman in the motel, she scammed us because the bus wasn't leaving the time that we wanted to leave. She booked it at the wrong time. And not only did she book at the wrong time, we asked to book for the nicer bus because there was a toilet in the bus, but she actually booked us in the local bus. The local bus did not have a toilet, and it's a 16-hour bus ride. And we ended up in that horrific bus, and we were so upset at her. And she didn't give a shit because she's a bitch. But man, that was such a bad experience. Even the people that owned the bus company were surprised that this woman lied to us. So, you know, just be careful when you're traveling in Myanmar. There are definitely scammers there. And as we encountered here, this woman was a scammer. I think the name of the hotel was Princess Motel 2 or something along those lines. Just don't stay there. That's a terrible motel. There are other places that are way better than that place, so don't stay at that place. Anyways, so I made sure I didn't drink much water when we were on that long bus ride. There was only one stop in the middle for you to pee. It was absolutely horrific. Lots of locals were also puking in that bus. Man, it is such a terrible experience. We get to Yangon, and we were supposed to fly that day, so we decided not to get an accommodation. We just went to the airport, and oh my god, the airport had no Wi-Fi, so we had nothing to do in the airport for like 12 hours that we waited or something.
Say hi.
Hello.
How long have we been here for?
Too long.
So, we arrived here at 10 a.m. Our check-in time is 10 p.m.
I think.
Perhaps. We have done many things. We have Kendrick has worked. I've edited his vlog. We tried to play Jones, didn't work. Drew some pictures. Counted peeing as passing time. Created this to try to knock this over with our target. And so
It's one of those like those space aircraft now.
Yeah.
Just lasers.
shoots the lasers. We are pretty much delirious at this point.
But we're starving.
Yeah. I think the worst part is that we never had a break.
We're hungry and we're tired.
We're very tired.
And by the time we flew, Karen was exhausted, dead tired, hungry, and we were flying to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was such a godsend by the time we left Myanmar. So to sum it up, I did not have a good experience in Myanmar. I will probably never go back to Myanmar just because of my bad experience traveling there with the scammer, the food poisoning, and yeah, just it wasn't for me. You know what they say when you travel, right? Go where you're treated best. And Myanmar did not treat me really well. Not even average well. Not even just okay. I was treated poorly. So nope, never again. Myanmar's not for me. If it's for you, hey, great. That's good for you because everyone has different experience, like I said, obviously, but not for me. Anyways, that's about it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And don't forget to sign up to the Travel and Live Free newsletter, where you can get a 10-step cheat sheet on how to travel around the world, as well as the latest tips and strategies on how to save money on travel for Canadians, how to go on around the world adventure travel for Canadians, and how to use travel to get more freedom in your life as a Canadian. You can sign up to the newsletter in the description below. Until next time, I'll see you then.